My ex's affair partner tried to force my daughter to call her mama, but her obsession took a dark turn when she forged my signature to steal my child's future. I can't believe I'm still dealing with this, but here we are. My ex-husband, Mark, 44M, cheated on me years ago, ending our marriage so he could be with his affair partner, Jen, 42F. At the time, our kids were very young, and the betrayal was devastating. To make things worse, Jen was someone I knew. She was dating someone in Mark's circle and had even made a point to get close to me. I thought she was a friend. Turns out she was positioning herself for when the truth came out, hoping I wouldn't hate her. Spoiler alert, I do. After the divorce, Mark worked out an agreement to see the kids 6 days a month. He works out of state a lot, so this was the best way to ensure they were with a parent instead of a babysitter, or, God forbid, Jen. For years, they've tried to make me accept her as a second mom to my kids. They even offered up the fact that Jen is sterile, as if that would soften me. She can't have kids of her own, Mark said, so it would mean the world to her if you encouraged the kids to see her as family. My response? Not my problem. They betrayed me, and I made it clear I'm not their friend or ally. Fast forward to now. Jen, the former cheerleader, has this dream of my daughter, Lily, 10, following in her footsteps. Apparently, Jen has been pushing Lily to join cheerleading, with Mark backing her up. But here's the thing. Lily doesn't want to do cheer. She told me herself, "Mom, Jen keeps trying to make me go. I don't want to. Can you help me?" Hearing that broke my heart. No one, not even her father, gets to force her into something she doesn't want. I immediately messaged Mark through our co-parenting app and told him Lily wasn't joining cheer. Period. Predictably, he ignored the app rules and started cussing me out. Classy. Then Jen tried to call me. I didn't answer. She finally caught me in a grocery store a few days later. That's when it got wild. She walked right up to me and said, "You can't keep punishing me by depriving me of your children." Your children. As if they're community property. I told her flat out, "You don't get to force my kids into things they don't want. Leave them alone." But she wasn't done. Oh no. She started following me around the store, going on and on about how much it would mean to her to share cheer with a daughter. Her dream, her loss, her pain. At that moment, I didn't care. I stopped, turned to her and said, "If you want to share cheer with a daughter, then have your own. Leave mine out of it." Her face went pale. She didn't say another word, just walked away. Of course, Mark blew up my phone later, calling me cruel and accusing me of using Jen's infertility to hurt her. I won't lie. Maybe it stung, but I don't regret it. She crossed the line trying to force my daughter into being the stand-in for something she'll never have. My job is to protect my kids, and I'm not going to let her, or anyone else, push them into things against their will. So, am I the asshole for saying what I said? Maybe. But if standing up for my daughter makes me one, I'll wear the title proudly. Update 1. I really thought things would calm down after the grocery store encounter, but I clearly underestimated Jen's determination. If anything, the situation escalated, because apparently I wasn't the only person Jen was trying to manipulate. A few days after the incident, my daughter came to me again, this time visibly upset. "Mom, Jen said I'm hurting her feelings because I won't do cheer. She told me it's important to Dad too, and he's sad I don't want to try." My first thought? Fury. My second thought? How dare they involve my daughter in adult drama to guilt her into doing something she doesn't want? I asked Lily how she felt, and she said, "I don't want to do it." I told her no, but she keeps saying it's just one practice. She won't stop. She looked genuinely worried, like she might get in trouble for sticking up for herself. I reassured her immediately. "You're allowed to say no, sweetheart. You don't have to do cheer or anything else if you don't want to. I'll take care of it." Once Lily was settled, I messaged Mark through the parenting app again, documenting everything. I told him Jen's behavior was unacceptable and needed to stop immediately. I also warned that if they continued pressuring Lily, I'd escalate the matter. And of course, instead of addressing the issue, Mark called me a control freak and accused me of poisoning the kids against Jen. Right, because Jen constantly badgering a 10-year-old to fulfill her unfulfilled dreams is totally appropriate behavior. I ignored his insults and went straight to my lawyer for advice. My lawyer agreed this was crossing a line and advised me to gather evidence of Jen's behavior in case it came up during future custody discussions. She also said I had every right to set firm boundaries about how my children are treated during Mark's custody time. Meanwhile, Jen wasn't done. She started sending my daughter cheerleading videos and even bought her a sparkly cheer uniform. Lily was confused and upset by the gift, which Jen handed to her personally during a custody handoff. Mark just stood there like a mannequin, pretending this was all fine. Lily gave the uniform back to me after their weekend visit and said, "Mom, I told her I didn't want it, but she gave it to me anyway." That was the last straw for me. I sent another message through the app, laying out the boundaries in no uncertain terms. My children are not to be pressured into extracurricular activities they've explicitly said no to. Jen is not to gift or bribe my kids in an attempt to override their personal boundaries. Mark needs to step up as a parent and advocate for what's best for his kids, not what's convenient for his wife. Predictably, Mark responded with more insults and accused me of being bitter and jealous of Jen. I could write a novel about how much I don't want to be Jen. Then Jen took things up a notch. She called my parents. I don't even know how she got their number, but one afternoon my mom called me and said, "Who is this Jen person? She's talking about some cheer thing and how we're keeping her from bonding with Lily." My mom, bless her heart, didn't mince words. She told Jen to leave her granddaughter alone and to stop trying to parent someone else's children. Apparently, Jen cried during the call, telling my mom how unfair I was being and how much it hurt that I wouldn't let her be part of the family. By this point, my patience was hanging on by a thread. I told my lawyer about the call, and they advised me to document it as part of an ongoing pattern of behavior. They also suggested I send a formal notice through the parenting app that Jen was not to contact my family. I did exactly that. Mark, unsurprisingly, doubled down. He sent a flurry of messages saying I was alienating Jen and making things harder for everyone. Harder for whom exactly? Certainly not Lily, who's been clear about her boundaries this entire time. Then came the kicker. Jen tried to sign Lily up for cheer behind my back. I found out because the coach emailed me, assuming I'd given permission, and asked for some additional paperwork to finalize Lily's enrollment. I was livid. Not only had Jen gone behind my back, but she also forged my signature on the initial paperwork. I immediately called the coach, explained the situation, and told her Lily wouldn't be participating. The coach was shocked and assured me she'd remove Lily from the roster immediately. After that, I contacted my lawyer again and let them know about the forgery. They advised me to file a police report, which I did. I hated going that far, but Jen had crossed so many lines I couldn't ignore it anymore. I also confronted Mark through the parenting app, laying out exactly what had happened and warning him that if Jen pulled something like this again, I'd be taking legal action. His response? "Why are you always trying to ruin things for Jen?" No apology, no acknowledgement of the forgery, just more deflection and excuses. As of now, I'm waiting to see if this will have any impact on custody. My lawyer is optimistic that the pattern of behavior I've documented will work in my favor. In the meantime, I've been focused on supporting Lily and making sure she feels heard and respected. What baffles me most is how blind Mark seems to Jen's actions. At this point, it feels less like ignorance and more like complicity. He's enabling her obsession, and it's my kids who are paying the price. Lily has been doing much better since the cheer issue was resolved, and I've made it clear she doesn't have to worry about Jen pressuring her again. I wish I could say the same for me. I'm exhausted, emotionally and mentally. But no matter how tiring this gets, I'll keep fighting to protect my kids and their boundaries. Update 2. You'd think after the forgery fiasco, Jen would take the hint. But no, she's apparently made it her life's mission to stake some kind of claim over my kids. The audacity is truly endless. If the cheerleading debacle wasn't enough, her latest move makes it clear she's not just overstepping. She's stomping all over boundaries like they're a welcome mat. A few weeks after Lily's cheer rejection, yes, we're calling it that now, Jen decided to host a family dinner at their house. Nothing unusual about that, except she told the kids it was a special bonding night where they'd all make matching t-shirts with family names on them. My daughter filled me in, clearly annoyed, and said, she wants me to call her Mama Jen. Cue the record scratch in my brain. Mama Jen? Mama Jen? I immediately asked Lily how she felt about it. It's weird, she said. She's not my mom. I already have a mom. Bless this kid for being so straightforward. I reassured her that she didn't have to call Jen anything she wasn't comfortable with, and that she could tell Jen no. But of course it didn't end there. When I picked the kids up from Mark's house after the family dinner, Lily handed me a t-shirt they'd made. It had Jen's name under Mom, with my name nowhere to be found. I nearly laughed out loud at the absurdity of it. Meanwhile, Jen came out to wave goodbye, acting like nothing was wrong. I didn't engage. I was too angry to say anything productive in the moment. Back at home, I asked my son, 8, how the dinner went. He said Jen kept talking about how they're a real family now, and how much she loves being their bonus mom. I can't decide what's worse, the blatant attempt to rewrite reality, or the fact that Mark lets her pull this nonsense. After the kids went to bed, I fired off another message to Mark via the app. I made it clear that Jen was crossing yet another boundary, and that I wouldn't tolerate her trying to replace me as their mother. His response: Jen's just trying to make the kids feel loved. You're reading too much into this. At this point, my lawyer is basically on speed dial. I asked her if there was any legal recourse to prevent Jen from continuing this behavior. She told me I couldn't legally stop her from calling herself Mama Jen, but I could document it as part of the broader pattern of alienation. So that's what I did. The final straw came 2 weekends later when the kids returned from another visit with Mark and Jen. Lily was unusually quiet, so I asked her what was wrong. She said Jen tried to talk to her privately and told her, "You can love me like a mom too. It doesn't mean you love your mom less." That was it. I felt the rage boil up, but I kept it together for Lily's sake. I asked her how she responded, and she said, "I told her I only have one mom, and it's you. If I haven't said it yet, this kid is amazing." Still, I could see how much the interaction had upset her, and I hated that she was being put in this position. I immediately documented the conversation and sent Mark a formal message through the app. Jen is not to have private, emotional conversations with the kids about their relationship with her or me. The kids are not to be forced into activities or roles they're uncomfortable with. Any further boundary violations will result in me taking legal action. Mark didn't respond directly, but I heard through my son that he and Jen had a long talk with the kids about how families come in all shapes and sizes, and how everyone needs to be open to love. Translation: Jen is doubling down and Mark is letting her. My lawyer has advised me to request a custody modification to limit Jen's access to the kids. It's not going to be easy, but it's becoming clear that she's incapable of respecting boundaries. For now, I'm focusing on reinforcing those boundaries with my kids. I've told them they don't have to do or say anything that makes them uncomfortable, and that I'll always support them. Lily, thankfully, seems more confident in standing up for herself, and my son is starting to follow her lead. Still, I can't shake the feeling that this is far from over. Jen doesn't strike me as someone who gives up easily, and Mark is either too oblivious or too spineless to stop her. All I can do is prepare for whatever they try next, and keep protecting my kids.